This is the Casa de Shenandoah. My name is Wayne Newton, and this is my home.
How does someone go from performing for sold-out crowds and adoring fans to losing everything? Wayne Newton, famously known as Mr. Las Vegas, was celebrated for his smooth voice, charismatic presence, and sparkling tuxedos. But beyond the glamour and applause, a painful truth was unfolding. His financial downfall wasn't sudden, it was a slow and agonizing decline. Despite his outward success, Wayne was grappling with years of financial pressure and growing debt. At 83, he's still recovering from those devastating losses. If you look closely, you'll see a legend burdened by a story that's only now being fully revealed. Wayne Newton's rise began in 1942 in Norfolk, Virginia. Though he wasn't born into privilege, his upbringing was rich with cultural heritage and ambition. With Cherokee and German roots, Wayne's childhood was anything but luxurious. His family had little in material wealth, but they had talent and determination. From a very young age, Wayne showed a natural gift for performing, a spark that would later ignite a remarkable career. By the age of 6, Wayne was already performing with his brother. The Newton brothers dreamed big, making a name for themselves in Virginia before moving to Phoenix, Arizona, where they started landing local gigs. That move would prove to be a pivotal step toward Wayne becoming one of the most iconic entertainers Las Vegas has ever seen. In 1962, Wayne had his big break with a national appearance on the Jackie Gleason Show. At the time, this show was a major platform, and Wayne's performance captivated millions. His velvet voice and magnetic stage presence made him stand out, and audiences took notice. His charm and unique sound brought a breath of fresh air to the entertainment world. By the early 1960s, Wayne Newton was no longer just a rising star, he had become a household name. Signed by Capitol Records, he released hits like Danke, Schoen, which not only topped charts but also became a cultural touchstone. The song highlighted his gift for connecting with people of all ages and solidified his place on the international stage. But Wayne didn't rest on his early success. His versatility and broad musical range helped him dominate the Las Vegas entertainment scene through the 1970s. Performing multiple nights each week, he even set records for audience numbers. Las Vegas wasn't just where he worked, it became his home. Wayne was more than just another Vegas act, he embodied the spirit of the city. The neon lights were his spotlight, and fans filled seats just to see him perform. Eventually, his name became synonymous with the Las Vegas Strip. Known as Mr. Las Vegas, Wayne played a vital role in defining the city's entertainment legacy. He earned admiration not just from fans but also from fellow performers. But beyond the voice and the performances, his fans loved him for the whole package, his style, charm, and heartfelt bond with the city that made him a legend. He gained so much from the city and ultimately became one of its most cherished and lasting figures. But as Wayne was reaching the peak of his career, a troubling undercurrent was beginning to take shape. Soon, his financial foundation began to crack in unexpected and dangerous ways. By the early 1980s, Wayne Newton was already hailed as the entertainment king of Las Vegas, with a fame that extended well beyond his performances. Yet, in his quest for greater wealth and influence, he stepped into far riskier territory than the bright lights of show business. In 1980, he made a bold move, he set out to purchase the iconic Aladdin Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. The Aladdin wasn't just any establishment, it was a symbol of opulence in Vegas. Owning it would elevate Wayne from star performer to true city mogul. But as with many major business deals, the reality was more complicated. To make the purchase happen, Wayne enlisted the support of several investors, including Guido Penosi, a man rumored to have deep ties to organized crime. Penosi wasn't your average investor. His alleged connections to the mob, particularly with figures operating in Las Vegas's shadows, raised eyebrows. This partnership would later become a major liability. Trouble erupted in 1980 when NBC aired an investigative report linking Wayne Newton to organized crime. The exposé claimed that Newton relied on mob associates like Penosi to finalize the Aladdin deal. The accusations were serious. Organized crime was already a notorious part of Las Vegas's reputation, and the notion that a beloved entertainer might be involved sent shockwaves through his fan base. The media frenzy portrayed Wayne as someone whose rise to fame was entangled with the criminal underworld. Unsurprisingly, Newton strongly rejected the claims and sued NBC for libel, arguing that the report was both false and damaging to his public image. After a prolonged legal fight, Newton was initially awarded $19.3 million in damages. The sum was later reduced to $5.2 million before being completely overturned by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. Despite the legal outcome, the damage to Wayne's reputation had already been done. Doubts began to surface in the minds of the public. Fans wondered whether the wholesome, charming performer had truly played fair, or if something more sinister had been at play behind his success. These allegations marked more than just a personal attack, they signaled a pivotal shift in Newton's career. The clean image of the showman gave way to suspicions of shady dealings and questionable partnerships. He was no longer just a star, he had become linked to the darker side of Las Vegas. Conversations stopped focusing solely on his talent and charisma. Instead, people questioned the lengths he might have gone to secure his position among the city's elite. His connection to Guido Penosi, regardless of the court's decision, remained a dominant narrative in the media. It wasn't just about buying a hotel, it was about the kinds of alliances he was willing to make to fulfill his ambitions. This wasn't the glamorous Las Vegas the public admired. It was a glimpse into a more shadowy, complex reality of the city. Even the brightest stars weren't spared from hardship, and for Wayne Newton, this was only the beginning. As the 1980s unfolded, his once glittering career began to face mounting obstacles. The mob connection scandal marked the start of a downward spiral, leading to a financial collapse that loomed just ahead. The strain of preserving his wealth, managing his businesses, and upholding his public image drove Wayne to make choices that gradually dismantled the empire he had so carefully built. Wayne Newton's Las Vegas legacy hadn't been built overnight. Over the years, he had created a lavish lifestyle that embodied luxury. Yet, behind the glamour, trouble was brewing. During the 1980s and 1990s, despite performing almost nightly and enjoying continued fame and fortune, his financial difficulties began to escalate, putting everything he had built at risk. The core of Wayne's financial downfall lay in his extravagant spending. As a world-renowned entertainer, he embraced the lifestyle of a Vegas tycoon. He owned opulent mansions, drove luxury cars, and traveled with a full entourage. Nothing appeared unattainable. However, this level of indulgence came with a price, and his financial oversight was sorely lacking. By the 1990s and early 2000s, Newton was drowning in debt and unpaid taxes. The IRS soon came calling, demanding money he no longer had. In 1992, his financial troubles reached a critical point, with reports indicating he owed around $20 million and more than $341,000 in back taxes. Facing insurmountable debt, Newton filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in a bid to reorganize his finances while continuing to work. Although the move offered a lifeline, it was a deeply humiliating chapter for the entertainer. His financial woes became public spectacle, with media coverage casting a shadow over what had once been a celebrated career. His story quickly turned into a warning about the perils of overspending and poor money management. Unfortunately, the bankruptcy wasn't the end of his problems. Beyond unpaid taxes and bills, Newton became entangled in numerous lawsuits that drained his resources even further. As creditors lined up to collect, legal battles multiplied. The public, once captivated by his charm, was stunned to see him overwhelmed by the consequences of unchecked extravagance. Still, Newton refused to give up. Determined to fight back, he continued to perform, hoping to generate the income necessary to tackle his growing debts. Yet this relentless schedule was both a lifeline and a burden. It gave him a means to pay what he owed, but it also forced him to work harder than ever under the harsh glare of public scrutiny. What had once been a vibrant celebration of his talent had become a desperate effort to maintain appearances and stay afloat. The impact of his financial crisis extended beyond the stage, it also affected his personal life. His hardships reached into his inner circle, damaging long-standing relationships and trusted partnerships. Even his close friendship with fellow entertainer Tony Orlando felt the strain of the turmoil that had overtaken his world. At one time, their relationship had been rock solid, built on mutual respect and many years of shared experiences in the entertainment world. But as Wayne's financial issues worsened, things began to unravel. Those closest to him started to doubt his choices, questioning whether his decisions and lifestyle were doing more harm than good. The situation with Tony Orlando was just one of several strained relationships that began to crack under the weight of Wayne's financial missteps. As his money problems intensified, so did the fractures in his inner circle. Wayne was about to learn that fame's cost isn't always measured in dollars. By the late 1990s, Wayne Newton's career was shifting. No longer just the iconic Vegas performer, he began exploring business ventures with other entertainers. One of his boldest moves was teaming up with Tony Orlando, a well-known singer and TV personality, to launch a new theater project in Las Vegas. They named it the Talk of the Town, a title drawn from their initials, and they hoped it would become a major entertainment destination. The concept was grand, 2,100 seats aimed at drawing large audiences and leaving a mark on the Las Vegas Strip. But reality didn't match the vision. From the outset, attendance was disappointing. The venue struggled to fill even 1,000 seats, leaving rows of empty chairs and leading to lost revenue. Over time, the situation grew worse, and the venture clearly wasn't working. The lack of consistent crowds created mounting financial pressure, and soon they could no longer afford the $1 million lease they had committed to. Then came an even more dramatic twist. While in the private office shared with Newton, Tony Orlando's son discovered hidden recording devices. Shocked, he told his father, who reacted with fury. Orlando accused Newton of secretly spying on him, suggesting he had been eavesdropping on confidential conversations. The accusation caused an uproar. Though Newton denied any involvement, the trust between them was irreparably damaged. Tony confronted Wayne, but despite the denial, the breach was too deep. Orlando quickly ended their partnership and walked away. Losing Tony Orlando was a significant setback for Wayne. Tony was a respected figure in the Vegas scene, and having him as a partner could have helped boost Wayne's reputation and ventures. Instead, Wayne was left managing the struggling theater alone. Things didn't get better. His already fragile professional image, shaken by ongoing financial troubles and past controversies, took another serious blow. Public perception shifted, fans, critics, and observers began to question his integrity. The bugging scandal, regardless of the truth, cast a long shadow. Wayne Newton, once celebrated as a cherished Vegas star, now faced public suspicion. The entire ordeal became a spectacle, and many who once admired him began to doubt what they once believed. The scandal surrounding Wayne Newton wasn't just about a failed business venture, it reflected how much he had changed in the eyes of those who once admired him. After everything fell apart, Wayne turned to what he knew best, performing. This time, however, the stage wasn't just a place to entertain, it became a means of trying to recover from the financial chaos he had landed in. As his debts piled up, performing became even more essential. Still, no matter how hard he tried, it wasn't enough to repair the damage to his career. The conflict with Tony Orlando wasn't the only blemish on Wayne Newton's reputation. As his financial problems grew worse, yet another scandal surfaced, bringing further public humiliation. His once glorious estate, Casa de Shenandoah, turned into a nightmare. Wayne's reputation as a Vegas legend wasn't built on his performances alone, it was also rooted in his extravagant lifestyle. Seeking a space that embodied his wealth, status, and affection for animals, he set his sights on creating something special. This vision became reality in the form of Casa de Shenandoah, a magnificent 39.5-acre estate in Las Vegas. This wasn't just a lavish home, it was a bold expression of Wayne's achievements and his taste for luxury. Tucked away in the Nevada desert, the estate featured Arabian horses, exotic birds, and a fleet of luxury cars, everything a successful man might want to display. For Wayne, Casa de Shenandoah represented more than just a place to live, it symbolized a lifetime of accomplishments in entertainment and business. Over time, the estate became as iconic as Wayne himself, a hallmark of his reign in Las Vegas. But what began as a dream home gradually turned into something far more problematic. Eventually, Casa de Shenandoah evolved into a financial and legal disaster. In the early 2010s, Wayne teamed up with CSD LLC, led by Lacey and Dorothy Harbour, to convert the estate into a public attraction. His idea was ambitious. They planned to turn the home into a museum celebrating his career and personal story. The proposal included guided tours, a fan gift shop, and even a wedding venue. Wayne saw this as a way to generate income, share his legacy, and keep the estate active even after he moved on to other endeavors. At first, the concept seemed promising. Wayne Newton was a Vegas institution, and a museum dedicated to his life was expected to draw interest from longtime fans. The estate was already famous. Who wouldn't be curious to step inside Casa de Shenandoah? However, problems surfaced almost immediately. As renovations got underway, disputes erupted between Wayne and his business partners. A major issue involved Wayne being asked to leave the property during construction. According to him, once the work began, the company refused to let him return to his own home. This dispute escalated into multiple legal battles, prompting Wayne Newton to take legal action. The company was accused of breaking their contract and mishandling the estate. He claimed that the company had poorly managed the renovation, which worsened his relationship with them. However, the company argued that Wayne had refused to vacate the house to allow the renovation, apparently trying to delay the project. But legal disputes weren't the only problem causing the project to fall apart. Neighbors began complaining about the constant traffic and noise from the renovations. Although Las Vegas is famous for its busy tourist spots, it wasn't always welcoming to large projects that disturbed quiet residential areas. As the estate attracted visitors for tours and events, the local community grew unhappy with the increased traffic and disruptions. Despite these issues, Newton continued with the project. Still, it became clear that his dream of making Casa de Shenandoah a successful tourist spot was fading. The tours failed to draw the crowds they had expected, and the estate struggled to generate enough revenue to cover its costs. What was meant to be Wayne Newton's legacy project turned into a financial burden he couldn't shake. As legal battles dragged on, the situation worsened. Newton found himself fighting disputes not only with the company he partnered with but also with the city of Las Vegas. His dream of sharing his legacy with the public slowly transformed into a financial black hole consuming everything. Eventually, Casa de Shenandoah couldn't keep going as a tourist attraction. The estate, once a symbol of Wayne's success, was sold in 2016. This sale marked the end of an era for Newton, who had hoped to preserve the estate as part of his legacy. It was a harsh conclusion to a project that had demanded so much of his time, effort, and resources. Beyond losing money, the scandal added another complication to Wayne Newton's already shaky reputation. Once a symbol of Vegas glitz and glamour, the failure of Casa de Shenandoah seriously damaged his public image. Fans who once admired him began to see him as someone whose dreams were unraveling. Though he remained beloved by some, his reputation as a business figure took a major hit. And the money problems didn't stop there. Wayne Newton's real challenge came from growing debts and endless court battles that followed him later in life. Former employees sued him for unpaid wages, making his difficult situation even worse. These lawsuits piled up, each one threatening to chip away at the fortune he had built over the years. Legal fees mounted, steadily draining his finances. What was once a shining career was now overshadowed by legal troubles. Each loss hurt his finances more. Over time, Wayne Newton's name became more linked to lawsuits than music. Media attention shifted from his hits to his legal issues, and his polished image as Mr. Las Vegas began to fade. The public's interest shifted from his entertainment career to his courtroom drama. Every new lawsuit seemed to add more fuel to the fire. In the end, the endless legal battles not only drained his finances but also damaged his legacy. The man who once sang smooth, velvet-voiced ballads on stage became known more for scandals, courtrooms, and financial ruin. What had been a respected entertainment career was now overshadowed by years of legal troubles. As lawsuits kept piling up, Wayne Newton found himself fighting not only to protect his wealth but also to save his reputation, which seemed to slip further away with every new courtroom fight. Now, at 83 years old, With much behind him, one question remains: what does the future hold for Wayne Newton? What is he doing these days? The answer might surprise you. Even at 83, Wayne is still working hard. Despite a life full of incredible highs, devastating lows, and numerous headlines casting him in a harsh light, he continues to perform. After decades of lawsuits, bankruptcies, and public scandals, you might expect him to retire. But Wayne's love for the stage, his deep passion for music, and his unstoppable drive keep him going, even if life hasn't turned out exactly as he once imagined. In 2021, Newton faced a major setback, a spinal injury that could have ended his career. True to his nature, he refused to give up. He repeatedly said his heart belongs to the stage. That's where he feels most alive and connected to his audience. Despite financial struggles and personal battles, his desire to perform has never faded. These days, Wayne no longer headlines huge shows. His schedule is lighter, but he still connects with fans through more intimate performances. His current show, Wayne Up Close and Personal, allows fans to see a more vulnerable side of him. These smaller, more personal shows take place in venues where Wayne can share not only his music but also stories from his remarkable journey. It seems the stage has become more than just his career, it's a way for him to connect with loyal fans who have stayed with him over the years. Yet, despite his love for performing, the financial pressures remain. Years of legal battles, debts, and an extravagant lifestyle mean that performing is also a financial necessity. Music is in his blood, but Wayne is still working to pay off the lifestyle that nearly destroyed him. Watching him now is bittersweet. The man who once dominated Las Vegas and commanded the spotlight is stepping back to perform in quieter, simpler settings. He may not fill the largest theaters anymore, but there's a strength in his smaller performances. His fans remain devoted and cheer not only for the performer on stage but also for the journey he has endured and the resilience he has shown. At 83, Wayne Newton embodies perseverance. His career may have changed, but his spirit is far from broken. Whether you see him as a legend or someone caught in his own storms, there's no doubt his story is still unfolding. So, what's your take? Was Wayne Newton a victim of betrayal and misfortune, or did he bring some of his troubles on himself?